Maryland basketball shows out against Washington.
You are Locked On Terps, your daily podcast on the Maryland Terps, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's up, everyone? I'm Tre Moore, host of Locked On Terps for the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. So thank you guys for making us part of your day. And today's episode is brought to you by Mazda. We put the same drive into every detail and wins define the moment, putting in the work that defines you. Stay tuned for the highlights in this week's Moving the Game Forward. There's more to Mazda because there is more to you. How about Maryland basketball absolutely showing out this weekend in a big win against the Washington Huskies in a game where I guess Maryland's still fighting for a top or not to be a bottom four team in the Big Ten. We'll see how that ends up working out. I know it's not very likely, but a big win for Maryland basketball against Washington to move to 11-16 overall and 4-12 in the Big 10 in a game that they were underdogs in. I thought they were going to have a really good chance of covering the spread against Washington team, and that's exactly what Maryland basketball did. And I think they showed their potential, and I think Buzz Williams has definitely heated up for Maryland basketball. I know that our season started off really tough with some of the people that we played, some of the Big Ten teams, but I think Maryland basketball is definitely starting to get a rhythm, and we're starting to win games. I think ever since beating Minnesota, we beat Minnesota by 5. We went out to beat an Iowa team that's a March Madness team by 7. I know we lost by Rutgers, but we kept it somewhat close. We lost to Northwestern, but we kept it somewhat close. And then we beat Washington just now. And I think Maryland basketball is showing some potential in showing that Buzz Williams may actually be able to get the job done. We hope he can get the job done in the future as he adjusts to this team. And I think there's a couple key takeaways from this game that I thought were really big. But I thought Buzz Williams did a really good job of game planning. I thought one thing that I thought was pretty cool is even for how bad we are, I thought the crowd was pretty good. Like, I thought people showed up, people showed out, like down the stretch when Maryland had that dunk, that lob down the stretch. Like, it felt like some energy. I wasn't at the game, but watching it on TV, it feels like there's energy surrounding the team and that people are excited about the team. And I think that's a big deal for Maryland, and I think that matters for Maryland. And so I think heading into next year, there's definitely some things that I'm really excited about. And to me, once you get to this part of the year where you're not a March Madness team, it's all about building for next year. I really do believe that. And I think Maryland has some pieces that are playing at a really high level that are good indicators of what Maryland basketball can build in the future. Obviously, we have the number 4 ranked recruiting class and all those different things, but I'm excited what Maryland basketball can become after a big win against Washington, where it wasn't like one of those games where Maryland just outplayed Washington purely. Like, we had to win this game down the stretch, and Maryland basketball ended up doing that, which I thought was really awesome to see Maryland be able to do. And there was something that I saw from a couple different guys, and this has been a constant theme, and we're going to start with this guy. How about Andre Mills, man? I mean, I haven't seen this much. I don't know. I don't think I've ever seen this much development from a player throughout the season. He went from a guy that at the beginning to the middle part of the season, I'm like, okay, he's a decent player. I think he lacks a lot of other like pure offensive skills. You guys have heard me give the rundown about Andre Mills a lot. The way he has developed throughout the season is something that is honestly insane, that I haven't seen very many players do. It just doesn't really happen. It's really cool to see him be able to do it, but he has become our best offensive player. And he started off the year as a guy where I was like, I don't really know what to make of this guy. Like, he would play decent sometimes, but a good game for him would be like 10 points. I'd be like, he's providing decent minutes. We know that he has potential. All of a sudden, this guy breaks out and looks like the best offense player on our team and looks like a guy that could be potentially a really good player next year for Maryland basketball, and a guy that could be a huge piece of the future of Maryland basketball. He dropped 21 points against Washington, and he continues to honestly shoot the ball at a pretty decent level, which is honestly the most exciting part for me. 3 assists 3 of 6 from the three-point line, 4 of 4 from the free throw line, 7 of 18 from the field. He also was dishing the ball, which is something that Maryland has had trouble doing. He was dishing the ball, had 5 assists as well, which I thought was really big for Maryland basketball too. So to see Andre Mills come out of his shell and consistently shoot the ball and then also be able to rebound the ball and to pass the ball at a pretty high level. It's awesome to see. And he's showing his potential. He's showing what he can become. 21 points against Washington, 39 against Northwestern, 24 against Iowa. He's showing out, and he's a guy that, to me, I think he can be huge for our team next year. Like, he's one of those guys. Him and Darius Adams, you guys hear me say this. Him and Darius Adams are two guys that could come back that could just really elevate where this team is next year and how good this team is. And so I think those are two guys that could really are really showing flashes. I know Darius Adams didn't have his best game, but it's really cool to be able to see what they're doing. And then also shout out Solomon Washington, 11 points, 14 rebounds. 2 steals and a block, 6 offensive rebounds. He's the reason we won this game. Solomon Washington's the heart and soul of this team. And it shows something to show that it shows a lot when the amount of effort that he puts in when Maryland's not doing pretty well. We're 4-12 in the Big Ten, 11-16 overall. We're pretty bad, and you're seeing Solomon Washington fight every night. You're seeing Solomon Washington have passion every night, and to me, that's awesome. And he deserves a shout out. Another double. He's not even that big of a dude, and he's our best rebounder. And for his size, I think he's one of the best rebounders in the Big Ten, like for his size, for pound per pound, for how tall he is. I know there's guys that are better than him just because they're like 7 feet tall or whatever the case is. But for his size, the way he rebounds, to get 6 offensive rebounds against Washington, I was like, another offensive rebound for him. Just kept us in a lot of good situations. And without him rebounding that way and also giving us double-figure points, a double-double, I don't think we win the game. I don't. And so he, to me, was maybe the most impressive player, the heart that he plays with and the passion that he plays with. And then also him being able to get to the rim a little bit. I know he drew some fouls. I know he didn't shoot very well from the free throw line, but he's doing a lot of good things for Maryland. And Elijah Sanders, 4 for 5 from the three-point line, 12 points, was huge in the game as well. And then I think another part of this that I thought was really interesting was Del Pino got minutes, 27 minutes for Del Pino, a lot of minutes, and he did well with them. 6 points, 2 3-pointers, 3 assists as well. I thought he played pretty well, a couple of rebounds too. He's the guy that I expect probably to be back next year too. I still don't know what to make of him. I still don't feel like I know how good he is, to be completely honest, but a guy that played a lot of minutes with Diggy Coit only playing 6 minutes and Darius Adams only playing 9 minutes. We needed someone else in that rotation to give us good time, and that's exactly what Del Pino did, and I thought that was really awesome to be able to see. And we did a good job of defending the 3 against Washington. They were only 5 of 22. That freshman kid, Steinbach, ended up having a pretty solid game, but he still scored below his averages. So he had 14 points, but he was really efficient with it, 7 of 8. But we did a good job of keeping the ball out, not giving him the ball in easy spots, keeping the ball kind of out of his hands. I thought that definitely helped with Haynes Steinbach and being able to win this game. I was like, he's an NBA guy. There were scouts there to watch him play. Like, he was a guy that we just had to figure out how to really slow him down. And I heard scouts were going to the Maryland game to watch him play, and then they headed over to short trip over to DC to watch that Michigan Duke game. I watched a lot of that game as well. Good game too. And so apparently a lot of scouts were there to watch Haynes Steinbach. Good player for sure. Played almost every minute for them, but we did a pretty good job of kind of slowing him down, showing a lot of bodies at him. I know he shot the ball well, but we also got the ball out of his hands a good amount, which I thought was well. The kid Zoom Diallo played pretty well, but I was okay. I was like, Zoom Diallo, I don't mind if he ends up scoring like 20 points and Haynes Steinbach doesn't. Like, I think that's better formula for Maryland, and they didn't shoot the ball well. It's probably the biggest reason why we were able to win, but credit to Maryland's defense. They did some good things against a Washington team that only turned over the ball 6 times compared to our 12, which is pretty crazy, compared to our 8. And so Maryland again loses the turnover battle, but figures out a way to win a game, which is pretty crazy to continuously lose the turnover battle. And we've been winning some games like this with our talent level is not the highest. Pretty crazy for us to be able to win. But I think one of the biggest spots is just the effort on the offensive glass, like 14 offensive rebounds compared to only their 4. Like that's a big reason why we won the game. Andre Mills had 2. I mentioned Solomon Washington had 6. Elijah Sanders had 2 as well. Colin Metcalf got 1, and George Turkson had a couple too. And so guys were getting offensive rebounds, guys were rebounding well, and that was really awesome to be able to see. I'm going to grade the Maryland offense heading into next season. I'm going to give everyone a letter grade. It'll be a really interesting segment, so make sure you guys tune in for that. We'll talk about that next. Workplace chaos, deadline stacking up, inbox overflowing, and the one position you have to fill is still sitting open. When the pressure's on you, you need the right hire. And this is a job for sponsored jobs. Indeed, sponsored jobs helps you reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for. Skills, experience, location. You're not just hoping the right candidate stumbles across your post. And here's a stat that says it all. In the minute I've been talking to you, companies like yours have made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes with Indeed sponsored jobs. Spend less time searching and more time actually interviewing candidates who can check all your boxes. Less stress, less time, more results. And we need the right person to cut through the chaos. This is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. And listeners of this show will get $75 sponsored job credit to help you get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saving you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need a hire? This is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. We're going to rate every position group on the Maryland offense heading into the season. I feel like the roster's mostly figured out, and I think that the defensive side of the ball is the better side of the ball. I've already said that. I've told you guys that multiple times, but I still want to rate every position group heading into the season for Maryland football. We might add a couple guys, but this is how I see it right now. I want to rate every single guy on the Maryland depth chart and kind of what I think about the roster in Maryland heading into a next year. So we're going to start with the quarterback, Malik Washington, heading into next year. Obviously, the biggest part of our football team, the most well-known part, getting him back was a huge part of the offseason. But to give him a grade, I think I'm going to go A-. I think A-. In terms of returning quarterbacks in the Big Ten, it's hard to draw up a better one. I know there's a couple like Tre Moore, Julian Sayin that could be first-round picks next year in the NFL draft, but I honestly think Malik's like as talented as anyone in the Big Ten, to be completely honest. He just hasn't had as good of a supporting cast as some of those guys, but I think he's as talented as anyone in the Big Ten. But this isn't about everyone else. I think he's an A-. Like, I think his combination of his legs, his arms, what he showed as a freshman in the Big Ten, like he has a chance to be, I think, one of the best quarterbacks in the country, not only just the Big Ten, the entire country next year. If the offensive new OC works out, Clint Trickett, and the offensive weapons work out, I think it's an A- position group for Maryland. I obviously can't give him the full A because he hasn't shown yet elite. Like consistently be elite, but it's also like, what do you like? He was a freshman last year, so you don't really expect that. No, really, freshmen doing that. But I think it's an A- heading into the sophomore year. He's got the legs, he's got the arm, he's got all the talent and all the traits. I think he deserves an A-. Heading into the running back room, one of the more interesting rooms on our team, I'm going to give it. It's a tough one. I'm going to give it a B, just a flat B, because I think DeJuan Williams was our best running back last year, and he's still young. And I think Iverson Howard has a chance to be really good. And then you add in the Harry Dalton kid from USC, and you have a really good three-headed monster. Now, the fact of the matter is, Maryland wasn't really able to run the ball last year at all. So as much as I want to say Iverson Howard has a ton of potential and DeJuan Williams was our best back last year, that still doesn't mean much until we still put it on the field. But I do think we could end up coming off of this year and being like, dang, Maryland football has 3 really good running backs. I think they all have still eligibility, a couple of years of eligibility, or I know they also have a couple of years of eligibility remaining. So, and a couple maybe going into not this season coming up, but the next one, we could be like, that group's an A if they all ended up staying. But we'll see how we kind of split the carries around. I know Clint Trickett loves to run the ball, but I think it's a B minus in the running back room. I think there's a ton of talent there, but we haven't seen them play particularly really well. So we'll see, but this could easily become a really good room, or it could also drop. We'll see what ends up happening. Let's move on to the receiver room. I'm going to give the receiver room a C minus. I think a C minus is fair. I just don't really feel confident in anyone. I know Caleb Webb's returning. He did some good things last year. I know Zymer Smith, the freshman, is interesting, and we bring in the kid Naheem Abdul from ODU. You get Chris Durr from Wyoming. You get some guys that are interesting players, but I just am not confident about the receiver room. There's not a single guy that you're like, yeah, he's a guy that had 500 yards last year on Maryland in the Big Ten. Like, we feel good about what he's going to do. The transfers are going to be interesting. They're going to be a huge part of if this thing works, if this thing doesn't work. But right now, there's just not a proven guy. There's just not at the Big Ten level. I know Naheem Abdul and Chris Durr did it a little bit at their respective colleges, but they haven't done it at the Big Ten level. And so it doesn't always translate the same. It just doesn't. I think we all know that. So I think that'll be really interesting. So I give it a C minus right now. It could be better than what I could think. I'm hoping it is, obviously, but right now I think it's really a C minus. Moving on to the tight end room, I think a B plus. I think Preston Howard and Dorian Fleming, I think together form a really solid tight end duo. Like, for Maryland, I don't think they could have done much better than adding. I really wanted a second tight end. You feel good about Dorian Fleming. He had a good up and down year last year. And what I mean by good up and down is he showed flashes of being really good. I just think there's a lot of different guys to target for Malik Washington. So he kind of was thrown to a lot of different guys, but he ended up having a pretty good year, I thought, and did some really good things as a receiving talent. And then you bring in Preston Howard, who can be a threat in the red zone. Obviously comes back, so he's familiar with Maryland, and I think it's a B plus. Like, I think that's a valid tight end duo. I think their skills offset each other, so they're not the same player. It's 2 different players that are really going to, I think, allow Maryland hopefully to have a really good opportunity to be good in the tight end room. And then we move on to the offensive line. I'm at a C plus with the offensive line. I think it could be better. I would love for it to be a B offensive line heading into or when they start playing, but right now I'm at a C plus. I don't really know. Like, I know we get Ratrell Perry back, we get Isaiah Wright back, we get Michael Hershey back. I don't know what that right side of the line is going to look like. I know those are our left tackle, left guard, center for right now. Isaiah Wright could get kicked out or get kicked out to a tackle. And I know we bring in someone from the portal, the Lockett guy that I'm excited about, Telek Lockett. He was supposed to be really good as well. And then one of these guards has been playing a lot of football, Ryan Howerton, Amari Hills. Like, someone's going to slide in at that right guard prospect. So it's a question mark. It wasn't good last year, so I can't give it like a B. But I think it has the potential to be a decent offensive line and better than what Maryland has been working with. Let's talk about my biggest question mark with Clint Trickett, Maryland's new offensive coordinator. We'll talk about my thoughts on that next. Ever wanted to experience the NBA Finals live and in person? FanDuel's giving you the chance to turn that dream into a reality with their NBA sweepstakes. Here's how it works. Use your profit boost on any NBA feature and you'll automatically be entered for a shot to win an NBA Finals trip for 2. That's right, flights, tickets, the whole experience. And if you're already looking at the board and thinking about which team can make a deep run, this is the perfect time to lock it in. I love futures this time of year, whether it's picking a team to win the championship or grab a conference title. It adds that extra layer of excitement to every game down the stretch. And not only can you pick cash, but it could also send you to the finals. So visit FanDuel.com to get started. Use your profit boost on the NBA future and get entered for your chance to win a trip to the NBA Finals. Play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. This is Mazda moving the game forward. And for those who show more, there's more to score than what's on the screen. And Malik Washington reminds us of this all the time, the work that he does off the field. He takes that extra work to raise the bar. It's that extra work off the field or off the court, dialing in every detail, giving it that extra fire, that grit that never quit. And Mazda puts the same passion into every model. Every model. Highlights make the reel. What it took to get there makes it count. There's more to Mazda because there is more to you. So I wanted to talk about my biggest question mark with Clint Trickett. I think I'm not super concerned about his schemes and what he does offensively. I think he's a really good coach schematically. I think he understands all these different position groups. Like, he's been a passing game coordinator. He's been a tight end coach. He's been an OC with a top running game. Like, he's done so many different things that I think he honestly understands the whole landscape of offense in college football, which I think is really important. I think we've had offensive coordinators that aren't balanced, that aren't really don't do a good enough job of making Maryland a complete team. I don't think we did a good job of play calling over the past couple of years. We've just have been bad. Like, Pep Hamilton wasn't great, I didn't think, for us. Whenever Michael Locksley starts calling plays, I feel like the rest of the team kind of just crumbles down. It just doesn't really work, and we've needed a new body. And Clint Trickett, I think, on game day and the schematics, I think is going to be great. Like, I think he's going to be smart. He was the QB coach for a little bit at Arkansas. Like, he understands all the position groups. He's going to hopefully get our run game going, our offensive line going, all those different things going. Like, I think Maryland has a chance to be much better in those areas under Clint Trickett. I do. But the biggest part of this thing is that my biggest concern, or the biggest question mark, I don't know if I want to say concern, biggest question mark, it's the recruiting aspect of it, because that's something that matters. And that's something that isn't talked about all the time with when you make a new hire, like immediately until you start really getting into it. And I kind of didn't really talk too much about it, talked about more about the schematics, but how well is he going to recruit? And that's been something that Maryland has done an up and down job of. I think more up than down. I think Mike Locksley's done a solid job of recruiting, but it would be really nice to have an OC that can get it done in recruiting and allow us to really recruit at a higher level, because at the end of the day, you can only get so much out of certain players. Like, that's just the way it is. Sometimes you get lucky with diamonds in the roughs. Sometimes you can coach them so well that it ends up working out, like Indiana. But there's only certain ceilings that guys have. At a certain point, if you want to make an upgrade as a program, there's only so much you can do with just scheme and developing guys. Eventually, you got to get some higher level players. Like, that's just the way it is, whether it's a 4-star, 5-star, whatever the case is. And Maryland's gotten some of those guys, but you got to get more. And I want to see if Clint Trickett can really elevate our recruiting. I think that's something that I'm really interested in, and see if he can do that, because if he can, I think he has a chance to be a really good OC. But I'm wondering how good he's going to be able to recruit the DMV. It's something we always talk about. It's something that is always on our kind of mind, is what guys can we get from the DMV. And I think it's important to be able to get, whether it's QBs, skill players, offensive linemen, whatever position groups that he's going to focus on, whatever ones he's going to dive into, high-level players in the DMV. I think that's going to be important, and then the rest of the country as well. And so that's my biggest question mark, because he hasn't done it at a place like Maryland yet in terms of having to recruit at that degree. It's a different beast. It's harder than it is at Jacksonville State, because it's just harder to get some of the guys that you need to be able to compete in the Big Ten. And that's just the way it is. And so I really would love to see how that ends up working for Maryland football, but I'm definitely thinking he's going to do a good job of it. Part of it's just the grinding part of it, watching a huddle film, like whatever the case is, and finding guys that can get it done. But Find guys that can match his scheme as well. So I wonder if it changes at all. I wonder if we're able to get better guys. This 2027 class will be really interesting. We keep going down and down and down for Maryland football to see what we can put together. And I hope it looks something like that 2025 class. You want to be closer to the 2025 class than you were to the 2026 class. But that's all we have for today. Thank you guys for listening to Locked On Terps. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. We're here every day talking Maryland football and basketball. So thank you guys all for listening to Locked On Terps.